Welcome to Honest Whispers Review for Sale. On this video, I'll be reviewing Women of the DC Universe, Series 1, Power Girl Bust. Released by DC Direct on January 10th, 2007, limited edition of 6,000. This particular bust is number 2017 out of 6,000. It is designed by Adam Hughes, sculpted by John G. Matthews, and approximately 5.625 inches tall. I'm going to go over 6 different categories to review this. First category is design, covers the concept, the pose, and the look. And as far as the concept goes, it's simply women of the DC Universe. And the pose, really like it a lot. I think it captures Power Girl's look and personality, especially the way she's smiling with her mouth open. And my favorite part of this bust design is the way the cape is flowing to the side and going forward. So you do know that the wind is blowing from her back to her front. And I'm being perfectly honest, my number one reason why I like that is because you could see part of her butt, which is very nicely sculpted. And another reason why I like this cape is because usually you could only display it from the front view, but with the cape, the way it adds this 3D dynamic look to it, you could display it in an angle like this, either angle. And I think even looks good from the profile, just the way on this side, the way the cape is on the foreground, covering part of her leg, and on this side, the way it's in the background. It still looks great. And finally, the brick base. I don't think it has a direct connection to Power Girl, but I still think it resembles who Power Girl is. So I like the way it looks. And I like how it does kind of match Power Girl's personality and characteristics. And that's why I give the design score a perfect 10 out of 10. Next category is sculpting, covers the details, quality of the sculpt, and execution, of course. And starting from the top, I like the details on the hair. It's not too much, not too little, so it does capture that comic book look to it, rather than trying to be over realistic or too simplified where it resembles more of a cartoon or anime. Face is sculpted very nicely. Overall, everything is very nicely proportioned. And the bust of this bust, with pun definitely intended, very nicely sculpted, very nice proportion. Now, of course, it's only nice for Power Girl's proportions, otherwise it would be a little bit unrealistic. But that's who Power Girl is. And I like the details on the costume, like the way her costume right there at her cleavage is kind of stretched out, the seam lines, and very nice details on her muscles, fingers, and for even nicer details, the cord is very nicely sculpted, very consistent, and I don't see much issues. So going over the rest, the belt, it's simple, so overall very nice. The cape has a very natural looking flow to it, so I really like that look. And of course the bricks of the base, nice straight edges, maybe too perfect since bricks are supposed to be a little bit rough, but still I like the way it looks and I like the quality overall. Now proportion wise, overall looks great, but I always felt like first impression, the right wrist seemed a little bit too narrow, or maybe the fist was a bit too big. but really couldn't pin down until I really took a closer look, or even a further back look. And the issue I noticed is that the forearm, her right forearm, is a little bit shorter than it should be. So in comparison, when you look at her left forearm, everything seems well proportioned. So nothing kind of stands out, or nothing seems a little bit off. Now, if I go further back, you can see more of a significant difference in the forearm sizes between her left and her right. So again, when I pull back again here, you could see that slight difference. So it just seems a little bit unproportioned. And again, it either looks like she has really thin wrists or really big hands for her right. Left looks pretty much great. So just to go over more key-ish differences between the original design and the sculpt. Here is the artwork that the bust is designed after or based off of. And you can see a couple different key differences is that one, she's winking. And of course the cape flowing straight down. So I think it's a huge improvement. And I love Adam Hughes. He's one of my favorite artists of all time. But the face of this Power Girl didn't really turn out that great. So I feel like the bust is an improvement. And again, when you look at the forearms of the artwork, you don't really see issues. And even the wrist is pretty thick. While when you compare it to here, it really narrows down a lot. And again, a little bit unproportioned. I guess it would look better if maybe you had one of the forearms at an angle so that it's further away. So the point of perception kind of helps proportionalize the bust. As far as the quality of the mold, you could see a little bit rough edges here, especially right there in the front bang area. And then you could see some here on the side. And even like little bumps, like right there, it looks like a pimple on her hair. And you could see some dimples here and there, which on the hair, the dimples isn't much of an issue. But then again, you could see more bumps there. And going over other areas, you could see a couple more bumps here on their armpit right there. And then right here on her wing, you could see a dimple, and then a little dimple right there on her rib cage. And of course, a little dimple right there where her belt is. And then another noticeable dimple here with few small ones right there on her forearm. So really can't notice when you're far back unless you really focus on it. Like for instance, this pimple or bump on her hair, even when I pull back, if I'm focused on it, I could see it, but it does kind of blend into the hair, so harder to tell. Other areas, I feel like the hip right here, the surface area is a bit rough. I think it would look a lot better if it was more smoother with the consistent curve to it. Even right here on her outer left butt cheek, it looks like there's like an indented line. The hips right there, it just seems a little bit sharp, and again, more rough edges. So for me, it kind of reminds me of carving wood, or if this was made out of wood and they carved it out of it. So not that noticeable even further away, but it's definitely noticeable compared to maybe like the other side where the thigh seems more smooth and consistent. Her butt, very nice proportioned, very nicely sculpted, so that's a huge plus. And of course the base, very nice smooth edges, everything straight. Again, a little bit too perfect for bricks, but I like the way it looks and I like the way it turned out. So other than that, really much, not much other issues or flaws. I feel like there's like a little dimple here on the cape, but because it's a cape, you know, it's not too bad, but then when you look really close up to it, then it does look more of a flaw than just something that's like a natural crease or a fold on the fabric. That's why I give the sculpting score a high score, but not perfect, 8 out of 10. Next category is colors. Covers the accuracy of the coloring, quality of the paint, and quality of paint application. And as far as the accuracy goes, really can't go wrong with this color. Everything is perfectly accurate. They did add some, I guess, kind of like shading to her hair. So on the camera, it doesn't look that bad, but through the naked eye, it's really does have this pinkish hue to the hair, and I think it could have been more than fine or even better without the pink hue shading. So that's kind of like, I don't know, it's not a huge flaw or anything like that, but I would have preferred without it. Further back, harder to tell. Overall, the paint quality is great. It is all pretty much matte finish, although the blue gloves seems a bit shiny, but it's definitely matte finish. I think it would have been a lot better if they had a gloss finish to it, like her costume, if it had a glossy finish, or at least the gold coloring, if it had more of a metallic shine to it, would have been really nice. But still, as is fine. And as far as paint application goes, overall, especially for DC Direct, and I'm not saying DC Direct is bad, but it's not the best either. And the paint application for this is actually pretty well done. Eyes are pretty symmetrical. The teeth is well done. And even the cord right here, I mean, you know, a lot of straight lines, not too much bleeding. Although you could see here at the very edge, you might see some white bleeding, but due to the fact that it's consistent, really can't tell. The lines on her costume, you might see slight bleeding, but not enough to really notice. Overall, especially like her cleavage, done really well. Now, the worst part is probably like here, the belt. You could see the white on the edge. You can see the blue. It's not bleeding into the circle, but the fact that it's on the side edge, it makes it look like it's bleeding. You could see some squiggly lines here and there, and like right here on the top of the belt. And then I noticed right here on her leg opening of her costume, right leg, line's a bit squiggly, so it would have been nicer if it was consistently curved. This side isn't as bad, and on her back side, lines are more straight. You can see a little bleeding here on the back of the belt as well, and that's really pretty much the worst of it. Otherwise, don't see much flaws or mistakes at all. The bricks are near perfect, and again, I keep mentioning this, maybe too perfect, but you might see a little lines that's kind of squiggly, which looks more of a sculpting issue. Not that it's really an issue, or right there, the way the lines don't match up. Other than that, coloring is great. Paint application overall is great. And that's why I give the color score a near perfect, but not too perfect, 8 out of 10. Next category is packaging. Covers the design, the look, and functionality of the packaging. And actually, let me put this statue or bust on the side. And then I'll go ahead and put the box in the middle so that you can see the box in its full glory. Now it's a 4-color box. It does come with the foam protector, which does its job perfectly, so it functions fine. It protects the bust from any damages. Overall, I like the look and design of the box. It's very consistent with all the other busts or products from the product line of the Women of the DC Universe line, which, as you can see here, some of them that were either sold out, available now, or coming soon when this Power Girl bust came out. And all of these busts have pretty much the same layout, where the title is, the name is, the fonts are the same. Now, the only differences are the color of the background and, of course, the picture of the bust. So you get a nice full picture here in the front, a close-up with the title on the side right there. Left side is the artwork that the bust is designed after. Of course, I already showed the other product lines or other items from the product line. And on the bottom, you have company information, UPC code, and of course, the sticker that numbers the bust edition number. So, great looking box. Only issue I have is that you could see it can be easily scuffed. So last thing you want to do is slide it on the table or surface, or stack it with other things where you're moving items and it's just rubbing against other boxes or other or the wall even. And if I could improve it, I mean, I personally don't mind the other product lines, but I think it would be even better if it was all personalized and it was just all Power Girl. And other than that, I mean, there really isn't much more you could do other than being fancy with maybe like gloss finish with matte background. So that's why I give the packaging score a near perfect 9 out of 10. Next category is value. It covers the suggested retail price versus the quality, and suggested retail price versus the aftermarket price. And when this first came out in 2007, the suggested retail price was $45. It's been 13 years, and right now I would say the average listed price is at $65 plus shipping and tax. I've seen the lowest one for a brand new one listed at $55 plus shipping and tax, and I've seen one as high as like $80 and up. So to appreciate only $10 to $20 in 13 years, really not that great, but at least it didn't stay the same or go down in value. And whether you pay $45 to $80, I think quality-wise, especially if you're a Power Girl fan, I think you'll be satisfied with it. I definitely was and still am. Unfortunately, I do have to part with a lot of my collection. So that's why I give the value score slightly above average, 6 out of 10. Final category is overall. It accumulates the 5 prior categories: design, sculpting, colors, packaging, and value. And this one, I really like it a lot. Everything I buy, I have the intentions of keeping it, at least for a very long time. This one, unfortunately, never got to display it or enjoy it. And I do have to make room and money, so I do have to part with this. But beyond that, if I could, I would definitely want to keep this and all of my other Women of the DC Universe bust. And it would be nice to display them all in a row, or in the same cabinet or bookshelf, wherever you display that. I like the look, the pose, quality of the sculpting is actually pretty good compared to your average DC Direct product. Colors are overall great, especially the application compared to your average DC Direct product. So overall, everything is great, and that's why the only thing is the value with busts compared to other, like figures or statues. Busts usually don't go up that much in value, but still, just $10-$20 in 13 years, just seems a little bit too low. That's why I give the overall score, which I was initially going to give a 7, but the more I look at this, the more I like it, and that's why I give the overall score an 8 out of 10. So to recap, design, 10 out of 10. Sculpting, 8 out of 10. Colors, 8 out of 10. Packaging, 9 out of 10. Value, 6 out of 10. And overall, 8 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Until next time, continue reading the King James Version Bible and eat your vitamin C's daily.